Hey guys, my name is Andrei Jikh, and today I'm going undercover as a college student to ask students some basic questions about personal finance and what they know about money, because at this point in time, every college student should know the answer to every one of these questions. I'm gonna ask some very, very basic questions. I'm not gonna ask complicated things like, what is the trailing PE ratio of Coca-Cola? Nothing like that, very, very basic. And the goal of this is not to make people feel inadequate or stupid, it's just to illustrate what our education system is teaching us, because I think personal finance and money is one of the biggest things responsible for our daily lives. So I'm excited, let's go check it out. First, I wanted to know everybody's majors.
It's electrical engineering.
Oh, okay.
Mine's biology.
Biology, all right.
Public health.
Biology. Biochemistry.
We've got the immigrant table here.
I wanted to make sure that every major was covered and well represented. But I want to know, can you explain what is passive income?
No. No. Ma'am. Why you hit us like that?
Oh yeah, it's like, it's not income that you're making, it's like something you have on the side, it's just making money for you, like a hotel.
Would it be like investments and things?
Income that's passive.
Yeah.
No.
Yes?
Slightly.
Slightly, okay.
I'm gonna guess the money that you get passively through maybe.
It's like the ones, it's the where they like work at home basically.
How you make money without actually doing work.
Passive income is income that generates while you're not working for it.
So the best way to explain what passive income is it's money that you earn while you sleep. It doesn't actually come from your job, from your hourly or your salaried wages. It actually comes from your investments. Like for example, this one, which is from Robinhood, that I've been building since about 2014. I was putting in roughly $2,000 to $2,500 every single month to build what it is today for 5 years. Now I figured it would be better to do that early on in my life rather than go to something like college, get myself into debt, and then not be able to save or invest at all. So that's exactly what I did. And from this portfolio, I'm making roughly $550 every single month, which are my dividends from these blue chip stocks. But speaking of dividends, what's a dividend?
No clue.
I've definitely heard of that before. Econ.
Dividend is a credit.
A math problem? No, I know it has to do finance-wise. I can't put it into words.
I have no idea.
We should know.
You should know. I can't remember.
Isn't it like a tax deduction?
Dividend stocks, but I don't know what it is.
I feel like I should.
I've heard about it, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I've heard it. Don't know what it is. I can't really explain it, but yeah, I kind of know what it is.
I'm on it. I don't know what that means. It's terrible.
Usually your shareholders get dividends.
Did you guys know that?
Dividend, yeah, I knew that already.
So dividends are a form of payment to shareholders who invest in large blue chip stocks like Disney, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Apple, Johnson & Johnson, and they pay us on a frequent basis like annually, quarterly, semi-annually, depending on what they do, based upon the dividend yield as it relates to share price. And the best of these companies are going to pay these dividends consistently while growing in share price as well as increasing the dividend payouts themselves. Like for example, in my last 2 video updates for dividends, I've received close to $1,000 worth of dividends per month with several $100s worth of increases. And this is called the snowball effect or compound interest, which is where our money generates us interest, and when reinvested, our interest also generates interest. Einstein said that compound interest was the 8th wonder of the world, but in order to generate it, you first need a budget. Next, I wanted to know, what exactly is a budget?
Budgeting money, how much you're gonna spend on stuff per month.
How much money you want to set aside for a project.
Budget is something that helps you keep a track of your spending.
How you plan to spend your money?
It's like placing a limit on yourself.
It's the management of funds.
I just realized I left my phone. It's right over there.
On that table.
Think of a budget as a plan. That's all it is. It's your money plan in relation to how much money you're making versus how much money you are spending, and you should absolutely have a budget because it's just like anything in life. If you want to make progress and you want to improve it, you have to track it. Whether it's money or your fitness goals or nutrition or whatever it is, you have to track it. And the best way I found to doing that for me is through an app called Mint. And after a while, you won't even need to track every single dollar, but it'll give you a good picture of what you need to do in order to improve your financial health. But once you actually start to save money, you should absolutely put it into a 401k. And speaking of a 401k, what is a 401k?
Oh, saving money. Saving
my
money for
gosh.
your retirement, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's a part of
Your retirement plan, basically.
it's a retirement plan.
Retirement fund.
Can't really give you a clear definition.
right.
Are you sure you want to interview us? I don't know anything. No.
It's a retirement plan.
You're in the wrong major.
A 401k is your employer-sponsored retirement plan, and most jobs will offer this if you are full-time. Now, you absolutely need a 401k because the best part about them is that you can get a 100% return on your money up to a certain point, because whatever you put into this account, you can actually have your employer match it, again, up to a certain threshold, which you want to max out every single year. Now, money you put into this account will actually go in tax-free, it'll grow tax-free, and then when you withdraw it in retirement, that's when you'll pay taxes on it later. But not everyone can have a 401k. Like me, I'm a YouTube bum, so I get no access to a 401k because I don't have an employer. YouTube, Google, get on it. Give us a 401k. So I'm really jealous if you have access to one, but I do have a Roth IRA, which is my next question. What's an IRA? Something like a Roth IRA.
No idea.
No.
I never learned that one.
Oh, I have no idea. Is that taxes?
No, it's IRA.
Is it like a
Hey, yo, come on, businessman.
Yeah, seriously, bro.
IRA, wait, what does it stand for?
IRA.
Damn.
Isn't that like the tax? That's the tax.
No, that's IRS, right? The
Yeah,
Internal
yeah.
Revenue Service, yeah.
Oh, he gave out the...
Oh, he knows the acronym.
I know.
He knows
Damn.
enough to correct me, bro.
Individual retirement account.
You don't have one?
I don't have an IRA
Well, you
at
need
all.
to get one.
I know, I do.
So a Roth IRA is your individual retirement account. Now, money you put into this account was already taxed. It'll grow tax-free, and then when you're ready to retire, you can withdraw upon it absolutely tax-free. And it could be worth millions of dollars by the time you're ready to retire, and you won't pay a single cent on taxes. And I've actually made mine with the M1 Finance app that you guys see right here. Just a few weeks ago, I put in the maximum amount possible for 2019, which is $6,000, which is roughly $500 a month. And I think that's doable for anyone in their 20s, because let's face it, that's how much you're paying for books in college anyway. I remember when I was in school, oh my god, I would pay like $800 for a semester for books, and the worst part was that they would change one single word, they would just call it a 4th edition, and I couldn't even sell it because then they'd be like, oh, open to page 10, and then when you open to page 10, that's not the same thing, because for them it's on page 15, but it's the exact same page with one word moved around. But I did not want to take out a loan because I did not have a credit score, which is my next question. Do you know what your credit score is?
Yeah.
Say if you take loans out, you have to repay it on time or else you get a worse credit score.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't be able to get loans more if you had a bad credit score.
That's
Pretty
right.
much just how credible a person is.
I haven't started one yet.
Yeah.
Either.
But I know, like,
Okay.
I don't have credits.
I don't have a credit.
You guys all have credit?
Yes.
Nice.
No.
No? Nobody?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
You have a credit card?
Yes.
Do you have one?
Yes, I do.
Again, I just started taking Dave Ramsey's class, so we stopped all credit cards, so I know that it is like,
I'm gonna be so itchy in a minute. Credit cards and credit scores. I didn't have my first credit card until I was about 24 years old, which is a pretty late start. I was just terrified of using them, but now I use credit cards for everything, for booking my flights, for buying my groceries, and I get anywhere from 1% to 2% cash back, as well as these perks. I can make an entire separate video talking about how to build your score and how to fix it, which I did. You guys can actually watch that video. It's very useful. The problem with credit scores is that they take anywhere from 6 months to an entire year to build an excellent score that's going to get you the best rates. But your credit score is going to be responsible for so many of the most important purchases in your life and getting a loan for things like your car or your house. And once you do get that loan though, the next question is it better to save that money and invest it into dividend stocks and the stock market, or is it better to pay off the loan? There's people over there. I'm so embarrassed. I actually filmed with them just a second ago. They're watching me on the grass. So this is so embarrassing.
I mean, it depends if you have debt or not, because I mean, it's good to invest like in stocks and stuff, but at the same time, if you have debt, I'd want to pay it off to get that out of the way.
And then would you agree?
No. I would invest in stuff.
You should save money and invest it. I would say put into your debt. I don't know. I feel like you invest it, you can like get more in the end. Like
Pay down your debt.
Pay down debt first. Invest.
I'd say pay down debt. If you pay down all your debt, then you have more money to invest.
Pay your debt.
Depends on what your goal is and overall percentage is.
So this one is a bit tricky. It's not as binary as people thought it was. The answer really depends on the interest rate of your loan. If you have a really ridiculously low interest rate of 2%, then you should focus on just making minimum payments on it and then investing the surplus where you think you can get better returns. Otherwise, you should consider paying down your debt as soon as possible because it's also going to help you build your credit score. Now, there's two major ways of paying down debt. The two different methods are the avalanche method and the snowball method. The avalanche method says to pay down the interest rates that are highest first, because then once you're done, you can just focus on paying the smaller ones off. And really the high interest rate loans are the ones that hurt you the most. And the snowball method is the exact opposite of that, where you focus on paying down the smaller interest rate loans first, because then that's going to accumulate more money where you can then finally focus on the one with the highest interest rate. Now, when it comes to just pure financial numbers, the avalanche method is best, but when it comes to just sticking to the strategy and being consistent, the snowball effect is better. But either way, it doesn't matter what you choose as long as you just please pay off your debt as soon as possible.
If somebody was to give you a lump sum of money right now to retire for the rest of your life, how much money would you need?
Retire today?
100 million.
3 million.
Nah, I'd say maybe 10, because you can use 1 million. You can do 50,000 each year. That's,
Oh no, let's make it 11.
Oh, 11, all right.
I don't know.
I feel like 10 million. I don't know.
10 trillion.
10 mil.
If I got like maybe 200,000, that would be good the rest of my life.
I need to have a lot. It would be a lot.
How much is a lot? Like, what's a number?
700K.
Yeah, like somewhere between 500,000 and a million.
Theoretically, you could take that money and move somewhere super cheap.
But to live in this country, you would need more. Like $20 million, and I still feel like that's a little too little.
$350,000? 5 to 6 million.
Millions of dollars.
80,000. 80,000.
Like, I would be chill. Like, somebody give me $20.
This is one of my favorite questions to ask people just because the numbers they give me are hilarious. It's like, hey, what number do you need? 100 million? Oh, okay, so you plan on retiring? Oh, that's right, never. So there's actually a real formula for figuring out what is your number. You take whatever expenses you have per year. For me, for example, that's $20,000, and we multiply whatever that number is times 25, invested at 4%. At that moment in time, your passive income is going to meet your expenses. So for example, for me, that's $20,000 a year multiplied by 25, that's $500,000 that I need invested at 4% to sustain my life at my current spending levels. As you guys can see, based on my investment portfolio, I'm at around 150,000 principal invested, so I need quite a bit of money to go, but hey, that's gonna also increase as I get older in life, so I'll even need more money. But for me, once I get to $500,000 mark, assuming that I don't spend more, that's when I don't need an active job. That's when I won't need YouTube to pay for my expenses. But let's face it, I'm still gonna make YouTube videos because I love it, and otherwise I would just die of boredom.
Do you invest? And what do you invest in?
Yes.
Yeah.
He got me into
I have
it,
stocks.
Yeah, I have 2 shares in Fitbit.
A Fitbit, nice.
I invest in like anything.
Anything.
Well, I tried stocks over summer. I lost a lot of money. $700, right? Just about.
700.
Yo,
that could have paid for like a week.
No.
Like, no?
It doesn't
Alright.
count if my company invests for me.
It kind of counts.
Sort of.
Currently not investing, but saving money to pay off my debts.
I need to download Robinhood.
Okay.
Now, I don't expect most college students to be investing right at this age, but you could really invest your money into a lot of different things like real estate, bonds, stock market, mutual funds, CDs, luxury goods, cryptocurrency, whatever it is, just make sure you know it and you're comfortable with it first. For me, that's the stonk market because that's what gives me the best form of passive income and the best returns, unless you were clever enough to get in on Bitcoin really early, which, speaking of, how many people have heard of Bitcoin around here?
Nope.
She's like, no.
0.00019.
Don't tell the IRS that.
Yeah, so Bitcoin was like, it's not the original, but it's the biggest like form of decentralized currency.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, all of you know what Bitcoin is.
Yes.
No, you're like, no. Okay.
Don't worry.
You mean BitConnect? Or the
BitConnect.
Yes.
What is it?
It is.
A crypto-based
Yeah,
currency
it's
that is supported
cryptocurrency.
by the blockchain.
Do you know who Warren Buffett is?
Not a clue.
I don't know.
I did a project on him once. I think he's an investor.
Should we? One of the biggest economic guys who did a lot of stuff for Wall Street.
No, I don't know who Warren Buffett is.
Really rich guy.
Old rich white guy, that's right.
Yes.
I'm gonna give a guess, and he's the owner of Bitcoin.
And he's a very, very, very good example of how you should live your life. I think you lived in the same home, very modest, and I find that people who really are worth money, they understand the value of money, they don't take advantage of it, and I think that's a prime example of Mr. Buffett.
But can you name a Kardashian?
I watched a whole video on the family tree. Kim, Courtney. I mean, they're not Kardashian, but there's Kendall. Kim.
Kim Kardashian.
Courtney.
All of them.
All of them.
Kim, Courtney, Chloe.
Courtney. Dang, I know more about the. Oh my god.
Okay, be honest with yourself. Did you know the answers to most of these questions when you were in college? I didn't. That's the takeaway. People are looking at me now. I gotta move to a different spot. So if I'm honest, I knew maybe 3 or 4 out of 10 of those. So I'm not here to tell you like, well, when I was in college, I knew the answer to all of these. No, I knew like maybe 30% of this. And that's because I was just too busy networking with my other head. And I do think that the education system could do a better job in teaching us some of the basics of personal finance. And I don't think it depends on what your major is either. It really depends on how old you are and whether or not you're making an income. Because once you actually start to make money and save it, you're gonna wanna know, what do I do with it? Do I invest it? Do I pay down my debt? And that's what gets the wheels turning. But I wish everyone knew the answer to all of these questions earlier in life, because it's gonna help you build your credit score. It's gonna help you save money on investing it into things you shouldn't be investing your money in, which is really why I made this channel, is to illustrate what I'm doing with my money and hopefully making it as open and as easy to understand for anyone who's curious. But maybe this video inspired you to get serious about yours. Maybe, maybe not. Smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.